what I wanted to start out with is your journey as a chef, man. You know, I don't know that many black people that are chefs, especially black men, and I say like certified culinary chefs. And I think that people hearing your story, man, will encourage people to look into that field, man, because you'll get into it, and we kind of talked about it, before we hit record, but you've had a lot of good experiences with it, and yeah, man, we'd just love to hear, the beginning, what got you into it, and then what made you take that leap to decide that this is what you want to do with your life, and then I'm sure there was some struggle, right? Sure, there was uh, some adversity, and then kind of how you got to where you are today. So let's start with that, man. Then we may have some questions in between
Hey, well, my like you said, my road was very unorthodox, but I always knew what I wanted to do. So that was key for me, was just self-awareness at an early age. They always say that you lose one sense and it's always heightened in another. So since I had never really had good vision, I've always worn glasses since I was a kid. I think that my sense of smell and
that.
taste was heightened, and that's the way I guided myself through life. So when I was a kid, I would have my grandmother just help in the kitchen. So if she wanted me to do anything, if she wanted me to stir something, add something, so she could just keep watching her stories, or that she didn't have to get up, she would just have me do it. But as I was doing it, I started engaging with the flavors and really asking people like, do you know how good this food is that Granny is making? And everybody else was like, it's just food. And I'm like, no, like there's something different and dynamic about what she's doing with food. And I always felt a connection a little bit more than everyone else. So as I grew up, I had my fair turn at sports and things like that, but it didn't really call to me until I got into vocational school. And once I got into vocational school, I was able to study culinary arts as well as take my high school diploma and prerequisites. So I graduated in high school with the vocational degree and then
Mm.
pursued the culinary arts after that. So for me, it's always been a passion of mine, something that I love to do. And yeah, it just spoke to me ever since I was a kid.
Man, one thing that stood out to me, and I've talked. It's funny, I talked to someone about this, I think last week, is you didn't necessarily go the traditional, 4-year undergrad college route.
Right.
And what we were talking about last week is that's really the only route that's pushed, right? And there's a lot of kids, man, who have a vision and they have different passions like yourself. And they're told if they don't go to traditional college, they're not going to be successful. So can you talk about the experience in the vocational school and kind of how that helps you? Because I think there are a lot of kids, and whether it's culinary or auto mechanic or whatever, plumbing, like they need to know like, hey, I can make it, if I don't go to the traditional route.
Yeah, I definitely think that I was on the cusp of when the expected route was being pushed in a different direction. So going to the school that I was going to, I was fortunate enough to be on the cutting edge of what it looked like to get particular information ahead of time. So
Right.
that's what vocational schools do for you. They set you up to be the guinea pig or the student of future technologies, future cooking styles, and things of that nature. So, like, you're actually learning how to be what the future is preparing you for without having to pay for the $100,000 education. And
Right.
most times, you have you have people that were in positions to hire you that were a part of an antiquated system. So that system would tell them, hey, we need this much education from you. We need this many references or to have worked at a particular restaurant. Nowadays, you can get that same education working on a food truck. You can get that same education traveling abroad, and more chefs that are in the position like me now are seeing you because of our route. So
Right.
it's the perfect mix of the changing of the guard of the antiquated system being done away with, as well as the younger people who grew up with a sense of freedom becoming the elder guard. So now that it's people like me in position who didn't come from the 4 year, $100,000 a year school, we pretty much know what it takes. But if I wasn't here to pass the torch down or listen to someone who went through my similar vocational training, then
Right.
they wouldn't be able to capitalize on the situation. So I think it's really about going in now. You don't have to worry. It's just like music labels. There was a time where you had to get signed to a music label if you wanted to be successful. You now can do it independently.
Right.
So culinary, automotive, marketing, media, you can become a YouTuber by yourself if you have the right camera. So you don't need movie companies anymore. So with 2022 and beyond, if you want to learn something, learn as much about it as you can, as early as you can. And vocational schools are free and accessible in most cities. So I think
Right.
that it's very, I think it's a good thing to do.